Hi, I'm Elaine. Welcome to Top Tip Tuesday on my Stamp with Elaine Facebook page. Today I'm going to talk about the paper Florist dies. They're on page 165 of the May 23 to April 2024 annual catalogue, and it's these dies in particular. So they're standalone dies, and in fact they're featured on the back of the catalogue. It's quite a comprehensive set of dies. There are 18 dies altogether. This cuts 3 petals at one go to make up the flower. You can make up a flower with just the 3 petals as shown on the back of the catalogue. And this is what they look like. So you can see where the die is here. It creates a score line. And if you want to make a flower like this, you need 6 petals. My top tip is to punch out a circle. This is a 1-inch circle, or if you haven't got the punch, you can use one of the Stylish Shapes dies and use that as a base to adhere your petals to. Now, if you want just interlock the petals, if you're doing it in white, you can do it like this, and that will give you a flatter flower. And if you cut it in basic white, then you can make a frangipani flower, or I think the botanical name is plumeria. If you want a bit more depth, then you need to fold this. So I'll just speed this up while I do it. And you want to bend your paper a little bit, work it a little bit just to soften it. Then what I do is I bend the right one back and put a tiny bit of glue on it, not too much, and then cross it over. And if you want a fairly deep flower, you cross it over like that. Glue the bottom to the circle so that, you know, this scored bit is in line with the edge of the circle, okay? Do the same for all the rest. So I've glued those pieces together. Now I'm going to put a dollop and use the folded score lines to help me anchor it to the bottom of the circle, and same with this. So just 3 evenly spaced if you can. Then you want to take the bone folder and just the tip of the petal, you want to curl it back, okay, and hold on to the glued bit so it remains firm and doesn't move. You do the remaining 3, and then the last one in here, and pinch it so it bonds. And then you can curl that back as well. So that makes this flower. Then you have these 3 dies, and they're for the flower centres, so that's the shape it comes out in. Another tip, once you've die cut that, leave it in situ, and then you can put glue on the back and allow it to dry before you remove it. These next 3 dies are for the leaves, and that's what they look like when they're die cut. And that's the stems for the tulips. I'll bring it up so closer so you can see the detail. And then these tulips, this is the die that cuts out the flower heads for the tulips, and you just tuck them behind the stem like so. They are different shapes, so this one goes behind that, this one goes behind this, and the one on the right goes behind the one on the right. This die will cut out an open leaf, and this is for your stamens for the inside, and one is plain. The large one on one die is plain and the smaller one is spotted, and on the other one it's the reverse, so there's a large spotty one and then one stitched one, as you can see here. Okay, so now we're going to move on to this second sheet of dies. Now this will also cut out a centre. In fact, you could use that, I suppose, for your base for the card, to glue your petals to, and then there's a smaller one for the centre of a flower. Now these two shapes will cut out the petals for this flower, and this one will cut out the petals for this flower, and this one will cut out the petals for this flower. And this one is to roll the stamen. And then what you can do is use your tear and tape, butt that together, okay, and use your tear and tape and run it down the middle. Then once that's joined together, you just get a pair of snips and snip down the centre so that both of them are covered. Then to make the stamen like this, you take off the adhesive sheet. This is a quilling tool, but if you don't have one, you can just wind it round your stylus or take your pick tool. A quilling tool actually has got a slot so you can put the paper in there. It pinches the paper and then you can start winding it round like so, and the sticky tape will help keep your roll together. And there you have your stamen. Tease that out and pop a glue dot on the bottom like so, and that will glue onto your centre of your flower when you need it. Another tip is that once you've die cut the centres for your flowers, you can just stick a roll of glue dots like that. It's much easier to make your selection and lift them off this sheet rather than have them loose in a bowl. For this one, if you want, you can use one of these, which is this die here, or you can use that, or you can use a combination. There's no hard and fast rule. You can use your imagination and do it whichever way you want. Now for this one, I actually cut it out of basic white cardstock. Basic white cardstock is slightly thinner, and so it's easier to manipulate and fold. So I coloured a strip of basic white cardstock with a blending brush just on one side and left the other side white, and then you can go back and colour the tips a different colour if you want. So you can make different flower centre, gives the flower a very different look. You can also raise that on dimensionals if you wish. And another thing you can do is spritz it with water, and that gives it a totally different look as well. That is dry and not spritzed, and that has been spritzed and crunched up and allowed to dry naturally, or you can use a heat tool to speed up the process. And for this one I used different flower centre. I used one of these and one of these smaller ones here. Now this die will cut out 2 large and 2 small and will make up this flower. This one makes up the daisy, so you cross these 2 over to make a 6-petal base, and then these 2 on top staggered in between the larger petals, and it will make this daisy. With this die you can make an option of using 1 large and 1 small to make up that flower, or if you want a fuller flower, stagger it like that, put glue in the centre. Let's do that. So the trick is, you see there's a gap in between here, so if I put it so that it's facing north and south, and there's a gap for this one, so I just rotate it a little, these 2. Or I could make 2 smaller flowers, so pinch it to make sure it's bonded, and then you can have 2, or you can have a whole one like that with 4 layers of petals. You have lots of options to make all sorts of flowers, and these are just some of them. So that's my Tuesday's tips for the paper florist dies. Thanks for joining me, and I'll be back soon. Bye.